Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Streaming Alchemy Show. I'm John Mahoney, and on today's show, we're going to be taking a look at Discord, a chat utility that started out in the gaming community, but has really started to permeate other areas in the general community communication space. So, we're going to be taking a deeper dive into that. But for those of you that were expecting this little bump out on the side to be showing Wirecast 13, I want to apologize. Uh, during this past week, Stephen Hayward from the On Social program actually had contacted us and asked if he could join us for the show. But one of the caveats with that would be that we'd have to schedule this around his very tight schedule. So that show on Wirecast 13 will now be, I think it's January 3rd, so the first show of the new year. So that should be great. I mean, Stephen is a fantastic guy, real deep knowledge of Wirecast. So it'll be a much better show for having him on. So for today's show on Discord, if you'd like to join us, feel free to uh, connect us through either the comments or you can come on through our voice and video call in, and be part of the show that way. So we just love to have you engage and be part of what we're doing here. All right. So Discord is probably not something that everybody is going to be familiar with. So I figured we'd start this show by talking a bit about what Discord is, where it's been targeted in the past, and give everybody a sense of sort of where Discord may fit into the bigger picture of video production. So, uh, so I just have Jeremy came on. So Jeremy's asking if we would be able to do a comparison between Discord versus Slack. I I am not familiar enough with Slack to because we don't use it. I'm aware of what it does, but it's not something I use internally. But that's definitely something that if anybody else out there is using Slack and wants to join to sort of fill that in, that would be great. I hopefully after I talk more about Discord, you may be able to draw some comparisons yourself as well. So uh, we'll give it a shot and see what comes out. So, at a baseline, though, Discord and Slack are community focused programs. They're programs that are services basically that allow teams of people to communicate. In the case of Discord, it works with both text chat as well as audio chat. And in fact, Discord also has video chat that you can have, though we won't really be going into that element of it for this show. So if if we switch over here, let me take a look. Uh, if you are looking at Discord, this is let me just get everybody to this page here. So this would be the URL discordapp.com. So very simple URL. And what you get with Discord is the ability to set up a server that you can use, and from that have channels that would be for text chat and voice chat. And you'll notice something here that's interesting. You can download an application that the Discord application itself. But Brad, hello. So you can download the Discord application, but you can also open it up in a browser. So you don't need to have anything installed on your system in order to use Discord. Discord. So it's very friendly that way, especially if you are locked down and don't have the options to install everything the way you'd like to. But let me jump into the interface for this here because it's actually a pretty simple interface. So let me jump over here and go through this. So what you see here is the Discord UI. And let me just sort of walk through the screen here, and hopefully that will give everybody a better sense for how this will work. So here on this far left column are what they call servers. So I have the ability to create a server, which will then host different channels. When I create a server, so you just click on a little plus button up here and say add a server, and I can take and name it. It'll start out with one text channel and one voice channel. So I can take those channels and add new ones. So I can have multiple channels on anything. Uh, oh, Brad, yeah, I mean, Discord, if you haven't been using it, I mean, the funny thing is when I deal with gamers, uh, it's second nature to them for everything. So I think it's simply a question of familiarity. But Brad's point is right. This can be a little bit sort of non-intuitive if you haven't been using this in the past. But all you need to do when you're going across this is you create a server, then you create different channels. So as many text channels and as many voice channels as you want. And from there, you can basically create tools for your community. So when I talk about community, there's a couple of interesting things here. The first one is that you can have people that will join your server. And when they join your server, that means they have access to the channels within that server. But it also means that you can give them roles, basically permissions that are set up inside of Discord that let them do different things. So they can moderate a panel. So you can sit there and go, if I have a chat channel and there are people getting off topic or using language not appropriate for the community, you could assign that role of moderation to somebody and give them the ability to go there and say, I can delete different things, I can ban users, everything you need to do to keep your community running smoothly. So that element is up in all of the server settings. So if I go here and look at server settings, you now have something called roles. And by going in and having roles set up, you can stop people, you can make them administrators and give them ways to change and manage the server itself. But you can also let them manage channels, kick members, ban members, all the things that I mentioned where it becomes important for how you want to organize and manage your community. And so in all of these things where you have these roles coming up, let me just bounce back. So you now have people that are part of your community that all have roles and that can do different things with the channels you have set up on that server. So let me, as I go through this, if I wanted to add a server, you would just go on the side. And when you click add server, you can go in, create the server, give the server a name, give it an icon. And from there, you'd be able to just go in and create all of that. So let me just jump out of here. So when I create a new server and that server has a name, I can then go and I'll see these channels. I can just add a new channel if I want to. So when you do this, you can go in and say, is it a text channel or is it a voice channel? And I can give that channel a name. You can make channels private so they're not visible to everyone. So you have options now as you set this up to build exactly the connection points that your community needs. So voice or text are both there. And as many channels as you want for different subjects. So if you have a more complex community, you can have different channels set up for different parts of that community. So when you have this set up, and it's very straightforward, what I did here is exactly the effort it takes. You would go in, you have to sign up, obviously, for Discord, but it's a pretty simple sign up and it's free. Uh, but everything else after that is as simple as what I showed here. Click a plus to add a server, click pluses to add channels, and assign the channels, and then go into the roles if you have members in your community to take care of anything you need administratively. So that's really at Discord at a very high level. That's all you need to really know about it. And then what you have is when people are in any one of these channels. So if I click over here and look at So here we have different people here. Uh, I can go in and just open that up. And so in the show chat, you would just see these are everything that's going on with all the comments in the show chat now. So very, very simple to engage with it too. So if I wanted to post new messages, I'm just down here. I could click in and type a new message here, and that will just show up in show chat. And you can see it's telling you where your message is going to be. If you can see in the sort of lightly highlighted, it says message hashtag show chat. So people know that's exactly where this message is going to appear when they type it. So, how do you start to now integrate this into the video production space? So, the first way is uh, you can actually use this as a chat room for your own live streams. So, if you are hosting your own live stream or hosting the front end where people are going to watch your live stream, there are ways and tools available that let you embed and overlay elements that are taking place in the Discord space. So let me jump over here. So this component here is, if you look up, it's called StreamKit for Discord. So it's streamkit.discordapp.com. And it gives you overlays. And it's assuming because Discord really originated in the gaming space. So it's assuming people are probably using OBS or XSplit, which are the two most popular streaming apps in the gaming community. But if we just pick OBS here, what I actually have the ability to do now is set up different widgets that I can embed on a web page or overlay on top of video. So the status widget, there's the chat widget and the voice widget. The status widget basically lets you know how many people have joined the server that the widget is associated with. So in this case, I've set this up for the Streaming Alchemy server on Discord. And it gives you different ways. I can show the online count, icons, other stuff. So I get to describe exactly what this looks like. And when I set all of these, text size, colors, everything else, if you go over here, this is the URL that you can then use to either embed or overlay uh, that widget onto your production space or to the web page you're streaming from. You have the same thing again with the chat widget, where you can say, what's the server? And then what chat am I associating this with? And also with the voice widget. Now, voice is really interesting because what the voice widget's going to let you see is who is actually speaking in that particular voice chat. So it gives you now the ability, even though you're just hearing things in a headset, to know who is it who just said that. So it's a very powerful tool when you're trying to manage a larger community chat. So in each of these cases, we actually just have these URLs. So let me show you how we actually use this. So here, I've just opened up OBS here. Uh, so this is something I can certainly do after the show to go into a bit more detail. But what I've done is I've embedded the three widgets here on this web page inside of OBS. So when you set up OBS, you can create a source that's basically a URL, and you plug those in. The great thing about the way these are constructed and about the way OBS works is that these actually have transparency baked into them. So if I want to use this as an overlay on top of anything I'm doing, I can then put that up, and I'll show you that in a minute. What I basically have are the three sources. This is the voice, this is the chat, and this is the status. So let's just take a look at the chat for a second. If I open this up, this is the URL that we would have taken out of that page where we were setting up the widgets. And then it gives you the width and the height, which were specified on that page. So it has specific widths and heights. And then any customization we might want to add to that. But that's it. So just essentially pasting the URL and the dimensions in, I can now position this anywhere I want. So if we switch back to this camera here, so just look at this sort of full screen, uh, we can put this on now as an overlay on top of what you'd be live streaming. And you'll see this as a right now, so you can see it over here. So you see this now as little components that are organized on the screen. You can see they're have transparency in them, so you can see behind them, and you can dial this in and make this into whatever sort of look and feel you want. There's a lot of control in OBS for that, but this gives you a great way now to have interactive community. So if people post messages in the show chat, they would show up here automatically. You can see everything in the upper corner with everybody that's attached. And then if we had speakers right now, I'm the only one speaking. You'd see who's talking here in the upper left-hand corner. So again, integrates very nicely. The fact that you have voice chat, though, has a couple of very powerful associated benefits. So the first one is something that people have been doing in the past, and that is to use it as an internal intercom system. So if I were to have multiple camera people covering an event, I could have everybody on a voice channel in Discord called Camera Crew, and then anybody that's speaking would be able to hear anybody else. And the reason you can do that is because Discord works on mobile phones, it works over cellular. So it has a lot of great benefits here in terms of how people can stay connected. So you could have a camera crew with their mobile phone and a headpiece in their ear, and they can be all interacting with each other without any significant infrastructure sitting there behind that. So that's very powerful. It can also work as remote IFB. So if you had talent in the field that was reporting on something, it would give you a very simple way to talk into the headset to let them know when they're going on air, to prompt them if there are other questions or anything else that you wanted them to cover. You could do all that inside of Discord pretty easily. And again, because it's ubiquitous, it's on Android and iOS, it's on web browsers, as well as downloadable apps for Mac and PC. It's pretty easy to make sure that whatever platform somebody's on, this can cover them. But as we were talking about, this as a capability, we also thought of another very interesting use case for this. And that is to take people from your viewing community and bring them on air as as a voice caller using Discord. So let me get out of this and jump over to the Discord app again, and we can sort of give you a sense of how we set this up. So on the Streaming Alchemy server over here, we set up the text channel, which is sort of jacks or better. Anybody that gets on gets a text channel. Then we also set up 3 voice channels. So the first one is for inbound guests. So what that means is that if somebody in your Discord community wanted to come on air to talk about something, they could add themselves into the inbound guest queue. Or it's not really a queue, it's just a room. So basically that channel would be all the people in your community that want to talk to you on your program. You can then have somebody else set up as a screener that can take and move those people. So we have Lee just joined us on the inbound guest. So there's Lee. So if we have a screener, they can move Lee to an inbound screening room. So now if you actually look here, Lee is now connected with our screener and can talk to him. And once he's sort of made sure that the person is a good fit for whatever show you're doing, they can bring them over into the live segment of the live channel on your server. And this would allow them to now talk with you. Uh, so, Lee, can you hear me? Oh, hold on a second. I have the mic is muted here. So let's see. Is there? Okay, Lee. I think your mic is muted, Lee. So if you could unmute that, I can't do it from this end. So oh, okay. Well, but the interesting thing here, and I think this is important, is that in a real production, in a workflow that you would be doing for this, you need the ability. You need the ability to interact and have crew that can interact with people. And Discord is really perfect for this. It gives you the ability in setting up these rooms to have different people, different producers in your crew that can actually go in and handle that. And what's even better is that they don't necessarily have to all be in the same location. So I think everything may be set up soon. So, Lee, are you there?
I am. Hi, John.
Hey, Lee. So, thank you for joining us. This is great. So, it's good to have you sort of experiment with us here as we show off what you can do with Discord. So, Lee, are you still there?
Yeah, this is very interesting. I've often wondered about Discord, but I've been a little confused by it. So this is very helpful.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things we were thinking of, and in fact, it was a conversation I had with you where you were talking to me about our live to air product and audio only, where this sort of came to mind and said, hey, there is a solution out there that is an audio based solution that if you structured it right could actually do some of the things you'd want for audio only callers. Uh, now, the way if we're talking about this, the way you are set up here, if you could take this desktop here, so we are both here inside of the live channel. What's great though is that it's not just limited to two people. So if we wanted to add another person or multiple people, you could do that. And now, if we actually go back to the full shot and put the overlays with all the things on it, so now if since I'm talking, you would see me, but you would be able to see if other people were talking as well. So I don't know if all this stuff is set up. This is done for demo purposes, but so, okay. So I think I probably shut something down on the OBS on my side, but this would give you the ability now not only to see different people as they join, but each person as they talk would be highlighted. So you'd know who was actually talking in the conversation, and it would let you do things that were more intelligent in responding to people. So even though it's audio only, that could be definitely be a real plus. So Lee, are you still with us here?
Yeah, I'm still here, John.
So from your side, how difficult was it to get on and join?
Well, once your moderator explained to me how to unmute my mic, it wasn't difficult at all.
Okay. so so I mean that's part of the thing. I mean, getting engagement from an audience is always critical. And the simpler it can be for them, the better it is in terms of creating that engagement. So as we looked at this is something that we would consider adding to our own sort of tool chest here in the studio. But Lee, I am really grateful that you took the time and called in here because I think that helps demonstrate this really well here.
Now, I have a quick question though. Would it
Absolutely.
be how difficult, or is it possible to also take the chat information and bring that in as a video stream like you do with Facebook now?
So in the overlay, if you put that back up, I mean, Matt just told me that, or Joe just told me it's not working here. Let me see. It's probably something with OBS on this side. We had a bunch of things going on. But you would actually, if you look in this lower left-hand corner here, so this would be right here. This is the chat, and this can go on as an overlay, and you can do it, with your own sort of styling on top of that. But this would be something you could definitely do dynamically as an overlay, or you could embed. So if you took and embedded a stream on a web page, you could place this right below that stream and then have that chat be active.
Okay, that's great.
So it's one of those things where it's not a full API, so you don't necessarily get the ability to do all the overlays and bring those in. But this at least gives you a way where you could pull this up and have at least something that people could see as they posted in this as comments. So it does serve multiple purposes in that regard.
Well, it does seem like Discord is getting a lot of attention. I keep seeing it everywhere, and people doing more and more servers with it. So I was curious about how it worked, and I tried it one time, and it really didn't seem to make sense to me. But this now puts it in context, and certainly I now understand what the value is.
Well, that's great. I mean, so hopefully, as people have seen this, it's gotten some more thoughts going for different ways you can use it. But at its core, it's a community chat with both voice and text, and it has enough openings, enough hooks for us to be able to integrate with it. So one of the things that I didn't really touch on, let me see if I can just, is when we set Discord up here, we actually had to do all the audio setups for this. I'm not sure if this is here. Uh, so and inside of this configuration, I won't go through it now, but so inside this configuration, we actually had this set up so that we use Dante. So the audio coming in and out from this system is all over Dante. And that gives us the ability. So I think maybe it might be, I just click here. Uh, that's voice and video. So let's see. So here, so I have on these settings now all the ways I can take audio in and out into Discord. So in this case, we're using Dante in and out. We set up a mix minus for everything that's coming out uh, from the studio without feeding back in my voice into it twice. And so this gives us a very clean way to integrate even in professional environments. So as a tool, because it has this capability, you now are not really limited to using it just in the ways that gamers use it, but you can plug it into a whole infrastructure, create different mixes, and send them out. So it's very very powerful and on a
And
lot of
and
different levels.
and the reason you're using Dante is because it's a separate machine that you have Discord running on. That's correct.
So right, I have Discord running on my desktop machine here in the studio, and we're feeding the audio into our mixer over in the production space, and that's all Dante. And so that creates the mix that goes into the TriCaster, which is what we are broadcasting out to everyone. But it also creates the different mixes that we need to send back here. So the audio that's coming back here is just my audio coming back into everything we need here on Discord. But if somebody were to call in using our live to air system, they would then be able to hear the person on Discord. So we have all the different mix minuses set up. So when one person talks, you can hear it over every channel in the studio that you'd need to go out from the stream to the encoder to the call-in system, the normal call-in system we use for voice and video. So it gives us a lot of flexibility that way, but it's all distributed. So this can also run on multiple machines. So you could have whoever is operating this. For instance, I'm running Discord here, but we had Matt in the control room actually manage doing the screening, helping you get set up and going into the live channel. So it gives you a lot of distributed flexibility because it can be browser based, it can be application based, and it has the IO for the audio. that you can set up any way you want.
Now, Matt was talking to me before I got on air, and how is he doing that? How is that set up?
So in here, if you look at the channels we have an inbound channel, which is more a way that somebody can come and say, "Hey, I'm interested in talking." Uh, since Matt was set up in the role of a screener, when we set up roles, he's able to take anybody in the inbound guest queue and move them into the screening room. Inside the screening room, the audio that's set up for that is limited to just you and Matt. So that's not being fed out to the broad community here. So you and Matt were able to talk and go through, getting configured and prepped. And then when he moved you to the live channel, that's the channel that's feeding audio and taking audio in and out of the studio. So it gives you this sort of tiered structure that you'd need to create these types of workflows around it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I had the same problem when I first called in, that you hear people that call into a radio station at the first time, because I had the Facebook audio going and I had the Discord audio going. So you have to remember to take that line that they always tell you, "Sir, please turn down your
Your radio.
radio."
Yeah, yes, yes, yes. I actually remember that where there you'd have that as sort of a common issue when people weren't used to this. But yeah, it's this is one of the biggest. I mean, as a general live production issue, different latencies and managing all those is always problematic. Uh, the fact that this is audio only makes it a little more flexible because we know the latency that's involved, but we don't have the lip sync and audio sync with video issues with an audio only channel. So it's a little easier in that regard.
Now, is there an icon for each user? I imagine there is. And is it possible? Would it be possible to have that pop up when they're on the air? That you can bring that into TriCaster or OBS?
Yeah, so inside we could you could definitely do that in OBS. If you are looking over here, this little icon over here, I believe is something that you could change. I'm not 100% sure on the, cosmetics on this, so if somebody else knows that they can be changed. So, so okay, so yes, they can be changed. I am being told. So
Okay.
it's good to be surrounded by smarter people. So uh, so yes,
See, I like to surround myself by dumb people because that makes me look smart.
so no, I definitely I definitely appreciate when people are really experts in areas. But so yes, you could actually have different icons, but you will also, when somebody's speaking, they will also have an illuminated ring around the icon. So you can just tell by that sort of flashing, I think it's green colored ring that will appear, that that's the person talking. So you have the ability to sort of recognize an individual, just from when they speak. So all right, so let's see. So Lee, did I cover everything you wanted to go over here?
Oh yeah, this is great. I mean, this fits in perfectly with my question the other day about audio only. So I appreciate you going over this. And again, I think the ability, how easy it is to set up, and the ability to set multiple servers up for different purposes is a real value. I don't know how they do this, but it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, so this is great. And again, this is just one more free service that's available that you can now integrate to do something that is actually pretty cool. I mean, the ability to take live callers in from their mobile devices or computers is pretty good. And the fact that this covers you on the audio side, it definitely lets you take another step toward that level of engagement you want to get with your community. So thanks for joining us for this. I appreciate it, Lee. All right. So, hopefully, this is something that everyone's found interesting. Uh, I think there are lots of different use cases here. as you start to become familiar with Discord. It'd probably be really cool if you want to share different things that you may be thinking of doing and different ways that you've been using it in the past. Uh, so we will be hanging around after the show, and it's sort of our informal after show chat. So if you have any additional questions on Discord or live streaming in general, if you want to call in through video call in, that's something we welcome. If you want to call in through Discord, we'll leave that up there as well. And this will give you a just another way if you want to dig a little deeper after the show. We'd be happy to do that. So if this were a good stopping point for everything I wanted to cover, let me just end the show by telling everybody that for next week's show, we're going to be talking about the TriCaster 7.1 update. So this is one of the largest feature updates that has come out for the TriCaster in a very, very long time. It works not just with the TC1 and the new Mini 4K, but it works with anybody with Advanced Edition 3 on their system. And to make this even better, we're going to have Chris Burgos from NewTek join us. And Chris is an expert in so many areas of video production, and has somebody I've known for a very long time, and certainly somebody that's going to bring a lot of depth to some of the stuff we talk about with this new update next week. So it would be great if you can join us. So we're going to end the show now and go dark, and then we'll come back up in the after show and be around for anybody that has any other questions. So until next week, if I don't see you in the after show, have a good one. See you soon. So, hello, everyone. So we're back for the after show. So we want this to be a much more sort of casual setting for everybody that wants to, just ask any questions on anything that we talk about in the shows. Sometimes I know it can feel a little awkward to sort of break in, if you will, but we definitely welcome anybody during the show. So Josh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. So I agree with you too. There is a lot of cool stuff in 7.1, and that's something happy to talk about that now if people have any particular questions. But anything live streaming is on the table in the after show. So I didn't really coming into this after show have a lot of other points I wanted to make as follow up, but it's probably, I mean, one of the interesting things is as we do this is we came on this by happenstance as a show to do. So when we were planning this from last week, our original goal was that we were going to be doing Wirecast 13. So that was the show we announced as our next show in last week's episode. Uh, and because of Stephen Haywood volunteering to join us on that show and moving things around, we were sort of sitting there Wednesday, going, okay, what do we want to pull off the editorial calendar to do this? And we had actually originally thought about, well, what could we do with gaming? Because we have a show, a series of shows we're planning for next year that are going to look at what would be needed for production for a gaming tournament. So sort of a whole arc of different things that are involved in that. Uh, and when we were talking about that, uh, it came up that we talked about Discord and how that would have to be integrated into that. We said Discord. That's what we could be talking about now. So and it just seemed to be a general topic that is starting to get some more traction here in the live streaming space. Uh, and I know that Stephen Hayward on the On Social show has a Discord channel that they use for people that want to chat during that. And so it is something also know other folks are using it as well. But the fact is, it's an easy way to integrate into a website. So if you want to have your own embedded website with your own branding, uh, and stream to that, this now gives you a way to have a community side. Uh, yes, yes, Lee. It's you always have to deal with this. I mean, it's funny because for us, we do actually keep an editorial calendar and different things that we want, but we don't really lock anything in until the week before. So usually, when we're doing this show, we know what we're going to have on the next two shows typically, and we plan along that accordingly. But I think this is actually a good case in general for having that sort of approach where I'm not just looking at, well, what am I doing next? And it's sort of a mad scramble. But you do have a sense of these are the different topics I want to cover. And as you get closer, you flesh it out more. So I know I know for me the way I do it is I use notes on my iPhone, and I'll put initial ideas, or if I'm reading something and something applies to a show, I'll just go, okay, here's this show, and let me make these notes under it. And then as we come and say, okay, this is going to be the actual next show, and we sort of slot that, then we start developing all the assets around it. So it gives us an easy way to sort of share the notes calendar because everybody can see that. Uh, but it's easy because a lot of the things that make it to a show or to a production in general happen through a conversation or something I just read on the web or something I just heard from somebody else. So you can lose those ideas if you don't spend a moment to just capture them. So that's the way we do it, and it actually pans out pretty well because it's other people out there that will typically have the best ideas for things to do on shows, either through a question they ask that set off a light bulb, or something that they actually say they're doing that you're like, oh wow, I could actually package this and show it in particular ways. So no, it's true though. As you build a show, uh, so let's see, Lee, do you think there's any API or way that Facebook could do audio call in through their voice calling capability? I believe that Facebook has the ability for you to bring a guest in through their web interface and have them come in as a audio and video guest. I don't know if they have any way available at an API level to bring somebody in through sort of a process like we did here, where we have some level of screeners coming in and a queue that you can pull people out of. So that'd be something I'd have to look at, but I'm not sure that that's something that they've made available. I haven't heard that, but that doesn't mean it's not there. So all right. So if there are any other things that anybody wants, I'll sit here for a few minutes and prattle a bit. But I just thought as we looked at this workflow around Discord, it just goes to show that there are a lot of tools out there that potentially can be repurposed for things that we'd want to do in a production. So definitely something as you think of your own productions and the types of things that you're doing, if there are tools you're using in other areas and other disciplines, it could be really cool to say, gee, could this play a role? Could this add value into what yes, Lee, thank you very much for the for the plug here on the neural net side. But I mean, the fact of the matter is, the neural net product. When we talked about it started out as being something that used the Skype API and integrated with Skype. And then it actually moved over to WebRTC. But all the capabilities in it actually came from people that would be saying, well, we love this, but could you do this? And like most products, it's your clients and potential clients that really push you to do that next thing and make you think about all the cool features that are in something. But it's definitely, if you look at, there are a lot of products out there in the marketplace that have potential uses. We've talked about things like stuff that you can do with VLC, stuff that you can use with PowerPoint. uh, I know, and this is something we're looking at potentially doing a show, things with Google Office, where it has the ability for multiple people to edit things. And gee, what could you do with those edited files to drive things into production? So, a lot of cool things to think about in that front. And hopefully, if anybody comes up with anything or has run across something that's using it now, I'd love you to, share it on the page or share it in the group because it'd be something we all could learn from. So, if that's it for everybody, please feel free, after the show to carry on in the, discussion areas on the group or on the page. And we'll get to see everybody again next week for the talk with Chris Burgos and a look at the new TriCaster release. And I can tell you, we've installed it and we've been using it for this past week, and it is really impressive. So if you're a TriCaster uh, owner, operator, producer, it's definitely got some things in there that will be great to see, how they could help you. So, all right then. Until next week. Thanks all for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. This is a lot of fun for me. Take care. Bye.